This episode, well, folks, it's that time of year again. It's the holiday season, at least at the end of this week, as they say, because we know when this show's going to publish. But this is tool suggestions for the holiday season. In this episode, John and I are going to give our top gift suggestions for the holiday season. Welcome to the Handyman Pros radio show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros radio show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Tool Suggestions for the Holiday Season. To help explain, I am here with my ever cheerful co-host and old buddy John. I know it's a little early for ho-ho-ho, but anyway, it's really not. Johnny, what have you been doing this week?
Yeah, what about, boy, I'll tell you, is time flying by or what?
You have been taking care of this new dog. I have to tell you that John John got a new dog, and I'm starting to think that the poor dog is going to have a name that I'm not allowed to say on the air.
Yeah, you overhear a lot of conversations. He's responding to some profanity better than his own name.
Yes, he seems to be.
But that's been keeping us quite busy, and he's still got a bit of puppy in him. But German Shepherds can be pretty rambunctious and all that kind of good stuff. But let's see what's been going on this week. I just, Larry, it's another faucet. I can't get away from this. I just did all those faucets I've been talking about. Then I get another suggestion. Can you come over and do another faucet?
You've gotten good at them, I bet.
What? I'm not envious of plumbers. I'm really not. I don't like to be underneath those sinks anymore. I'm getting, I'm starting to have nightmares about it. So,
look, it's another sink. I'm trapped. Get me out.
I'm trapped. Let me out of here.
Let me out.
But anyways, it's been quite crazy, and I'm just trying to take a little bit of time off from doing a lot of stuff. Like you mentioned, the dog to kind of spend some time with him, or take him to the doggy park and wear him down and all that kind of stuff. So I don't have to deal with that later on as my feet get gnawed up. But anyways, we wanted to address some things because it's about that time.
Yeah, it's about that time. It's that time of year again. Yikes!
And kind of talk a little bit about some of the, one of my thoughts here is some of the tools that I've used over and over again this past year that I think people, I couldn't live without at this point. Even if I didn't do this job, even if I was a homeowner, there's some things that just stand out. Okay?
Yes, this is a true statement. And the first thing that I think of, John, whenever I think of this sort of thing, is my Handyman Pros radio show T-shirt. Yes, that and
right.
the coffee mug that I have that also says Handyman Pros radio show on it. Of course, this is a shameless plug, is it not, Johnny? But, of course, we do have T-shirts.
Pretty shameless.
Yeah, we have T-shirts and coffee mugs. They're on our website. That's handymanprosradioshow.com under the products page. And you, too, could have yourself a handymanprosradioshow.com T-shirt or coffee mug. Personally, I like the coffee mugs, John, and I will suggest on the coffee mugs, get the 15.5-ounce size because that's the size you really need.
Yes.
But
get you going.
Get a big one. Don't get the 12-ounce one.
Yeah.
But it's your choice. Anyway, all that's at handymanprosradioshow.com on the products page. But that was the first shameless plug. So, John, where would we go with tools past that?
Well, one of the things, that on my list, if you're going to buy some things this season, and it is relatively inexpensive and something you're going to use all the time, trust me, if you're especially if you're doing this kind of business and you have powered tools, do yourself a favor and get rechargeable batteries and the charger for the rechargeable batteries.
Yes, sir. Get it, got it. And that's not only just for your tools, right? That's also
No.
for the other auxiliary
Everything.
items that you have. So
Flashlights,
Yeah.
the AA batteries, the AAA batteries,
the 9-volt battery for your
Exactly.
stud finder that forever goes
Bingo.
dead. Yeah, that one.
Bingo.
Yeah.
A while ago, a couple weeks ago, I think we did a show called Charging Day.
Yep.
And that surrounded this, one of my activities is every once in a while I'll take, I call it my charging day, where I'll take my stuff out and I'll top off my batteries in these things. Just the other day, I have, a flashlight that I left on in the car, and I'm sure everybody's experienced this. You go out and you try to use it at a job site or you need it, and the thing just lights up and then it just boom, dead. And I'm like, to me, that was no big deal because it was a rechargeable battery, and I just threw in I have more batteries. I just threw it in there, took those out, charged them up, and I'm good to go. And I'm not spending a whole lot of money on, alkaline batteries in that case.
Yep. Right there with you.
And I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put this on a blog, and I'll put a link in there for the charger that I have and the batteries that I have, because one of the shows that we did was on batteries, and
Yes.
these and
Yes.
and those little small AAA batteries, they come in a wide variety of
Capacities.
capacities.
Yeah, capacities. So you
And
do have to
need
be
know-
careful.
and you need to get the big ones, the
Yep.
1100 milliamp hour batteries. Otherwise, you're going to be really disappointed with rechargeable batteries. I'll hear it all the time. People, they don't last as long. Well, that's because you're getting the low capacity batteries.
Right.
So I'll put a link in there, and the little charger I have, it runs off a USB port.
nice.
And you can
Yeah.
charge.
Nice.
I'm looking at right now, eight batteries. They either AA batteries or AAA batteries, and those are the kind of the most popular ones. For your flashlights and little electronic gear and stuff like that.
Your headlamp. Yeah.
And it's great. It absolutely is great. And it's something I wanted to talk about for a while now, because it's something I use all the time. So
cleaning tools, Johnny. You just bought a new.
oh man, I am telling you, I don't know why, Larry, I agonized over this for like 30 years.
Yes, you did.
It was crazy, man. I was like, what the? I just bought a new Shop Vac, and I bought one specifically so I could take it to job sites. And, I had an old one. It was a big, the big bucket, the classic Shop Vac looking thing, but it was really old with a small hose. It was just awful, but I kept up with it for a long time and I didn't know what to buy. But the one I just bought is,
You had a Reagan for president sticker on it, Johnny. What's that tell you?
Yeah, and I think it was a JFK sticker on it. I bought this little one, and it's a low profile one. It's only a 4-gallon, because I don't really ever.
How many times do you fill them up? That's always my thing.
That's my point. That's the way I should put it, and that's exactly my point. And it fits great in my car. And what you said about yours, some of the bigger ones, that monopolizes all your space in your truck.
Oh.
And so this little one's 5 horsepower, 4-gallon, low profile. You put it away, and it just fits. It's great. I don't know why I waited so long. And I also bought the little diffuser for it, like a little muffler, and it is just it's great. It's fantastic. I don't know why I didn't do this years ago, but that's just me. So, that's something else that, if you haven't looked at some of these new Shop Vacs and you got a real old one and the thing's loud as heck, and maybe it's time to take a look at that.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in brooms, mops, and dustpans and all that kind of stuff, too. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you're in the business, having the right brooms and the right mop makes a difference. It really makes your job easier. So, I have 2 different brooms, an inside broom and an outside broom, and I always have a dustpan, because while the vacuum picks everything up, I just save my vacuum and I sweep first, and then I pick dust up with my vacuum. Anyway, that's just a me thing. I think that they're great gifts for somebody that needs them. Don't buy them for somebody that doesn't need them, because you're going to get yourself smacked with it. But if you need the thing, you need the thing. And you're, folks, if you're buying for a handy person, trust me, they have things there's always things they need and things they want, and they'll tell you. And a broom or a mop, the right broom or mop, or a good dustpan. Don't get a junky dustpan too. That's a pain in the neck. Good broom, good mop, and a good dustpan are always good. This year, Johnny, I bought. So I'm going to talk. Let's talk a little bit about laminate flooring. So we all do, we do as handymen. We do laminate flooring. This year. I bought one of the cutters, the actual. I call it the guillotine cutter. I mean, you pull down on this lever, you can cut your fingertip off with this bad boy, no problem. But that tool for me this year, and I like you, I was kind of like, do I really need it? I've got a saw. I've been using my saw, and I've got a trim or a miter saw that I used, to do it when I was doing a big job. But I was on a job, and it was a really long way out to the saw. So I just bucked up and I thought it was a lot of money for a hand tool. But, I spent the money on it. Johnny, that's been the greatest thing because it saved me so much time because I don't even have to go outside now. It sits right next to where I've got the laminate flooring placed. Slide that thing in, make the cut, boom, done. You can trim really fine pieces off with it if you got a little trim issue, problem with it. If you're doing some laminate flooring, and I don't even, cost basis, if you save yourself an hour, which you'll do easily, it's worth it to buy the stupid thing. Really good. It is kind of bulky, I will say that, because you have to take the handle off to make it compact, but you need the handle on it to make it work because it slices right through it. No dust, no mess. Hand tool, so no noise. Don't need any batteries, no power, none of that stuff. Really, really worthwhile.
It's kind of analogous to the little
trim cutter that we've talked about. Yes.
Yeah, the little trim hand cutter. That little thing. Instead of running outside all the time, if you're putting down quarter round or shoe molding or whatever, you're just clipping away at that with that little nipper. It's great. So yeah, Larry, I agree. Having something like that. And I'll tell you, when we were doing those flooring jobs and just running outside all the time to cut stuff,
it's a pain.
I'll tell you what, at this age, getting up and down, oh my God, it's like I said, it's a long way down to the floor.
It's a long way to the floor.
After a day doing that.
So in that same vein, one other tool. This isn't really a tool. Well, it is a tool. It's a part of a tool. So I needed a new jigsaw blade for. I was doing some trim work, and anyway, I came upon the laminate floor jigsaw blades. They're specifically made to cut laminate flooring, and you can find them. They're in the big box stores. The ones I have happen to be Bosch, but they're kind of a cross between a cross-cut blade and like a bimetal blade. So they're almost a cross between a metal blade and a wood blade. And when it comes to cutting that, when you're doing the trim work, you're cutting in around the molding or whatever, you're doing some kind of trim work. Having that blade has saved me a huge amount of time, and it saved me time and aggravation for sure because it cuts way better than the other saw blades that I've used. So I forget what they're called, but they'll actually say for laminate flooring, and you look at them and you're like, it's kind of an interesting thing. But found those two tools for laminate flooring this year, and I think if you're, for me, like they've been lifesavers for me. So
yeah, and these are really good tips because as popular as luxury vinyl plank is right now, and everybody's putting it down, folks, if you're doing this or if you intend to do this in your house, Larry brings up a good point here with these two tips because this is something you really should invest in. Because it's gonna save you a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of time and aggravation too. Actually,
aggravation. Absolutely. And you might be saying, "Well, I don't need to invest in a laminate flooring cutter because I'm only going to use it once." Well, I think we did an episode on that. As hey, you can always put that tool on Craigslist or whatever.
Put it out there.
Again. But
Facebook Marketplace.
You're going to be really happy that you did because you're not going to have to go up and down and up and down and save yourself a couple of hours doing this stuff. It's gonna be great. It'll be real happy.
Yep. Johnny, you got anything for drywall this year?
Well, so that's another thing. There's a couple of things here. We had down here on the list, if you're going to do a lot of drywall work or if you're not going to do much, and if you have an oscillating blade, or an oscillating tool. They make blades specifically for drywall, and it cuts right through them. So, if you have to do some trim work on drywall or get around, electrical boxes, all that,
and repair work as well.
And repair work.
Yeah, if you're trying to cut right down a stud, it's perfect.
It's great. Now, I use a little zip tool, but for those oscillating blades are fantastic. And it doesn't take you any time. It does a nice, neat job, nice cut. You have a lot of control on it, and you're going to be real happy doing that. And if you listen to our interview with the drywall doctor and stuff, you're going to be all set.
Yeah, you'll be doing drywall like a pro. I mean, it's amazing.
Right.
It's really changed. It's really changed how I've done drywall, and part of it, combination of listening to that show with Ray, which we're going to have him back on, by the way. But partially doing that, and then I found this oscillating blade, and it's got this hook function, and it's also got kind of a rocker blade on it. And the significance of that rocker blade is it'll cut the paper when you're doing, particularly when you're doing a repair and you want to join on a stud. You can get halfway down that stud, and it cuts that paper. It's not that herky jerky. You're not cutting the wood. You're just cutting the paper. It just works really, really well. We'll put a link on that out to on our website at handymanprosradioshow.com, just to show you what that thing looks like and where it goes. The other thing for drywall for me, I have this power sander. I happened to buy one. It was got a vacuum attachment to it, but it's got an 8-inch round head on it. And if I'm doing any kind of real drywall work, that thing is a lifesaver for 2 or 3 reasons. One is it makes a nice big smooth sanding joint. It's quick. It hooks to the vacuum. That's, for me, the biggest thing. Sucks the dust into the vacuum without dropping it on the floor. And what a time saver as far as cleanup goes with that. Plus, you'd get just a better product. They've got grits anywhere from 40 up to like 500 grit, but I use 80 and 220. It makes a perfectly smooth thing, works really, really well. The one I bought happened to come from Northern Tool, was not a tremendous amount of money. It was less than $150, and works like a champ, and it's become a drywall necessity for me if I'm doing drywall jobs that are bigger than a small repair. I want to say it's worth it to break it out and use it. And then one other thing I picked up this year, too, was an actual dust collector. So in the same vein, hooks to the vacuum, collects the dust before it gets in the filter, reduces it. We'll rephrase that. It reduces the amount of dust that gets to the filter, which means I don't have to empty my vacuum out as often. And we'll put a link out for that one, too. But it's a flat thing. It actually fits in the truck pretty well. So when I'm doing a drywall project, you'll see those things pop out because it's just easy. It's just easier. So, those couple of ideas, right? Just a couple of ideas. Yeah,
we'll have to put a link to the dust collector, because a lot of folks out there, you may know what those are, you may not. And you would say, well, wait a minute, isn't the vacuum the dust collector?
It is, but the filters clog really fast. That's the problem.
Well, there's other things too, right? And you don't ever want to really use a Shop Vac to clean up. Let's say, remember when you did that project cutting cement, because cement will burn those motors out.
Yes.
Yep. And you want to get cement and drywall, and even if you're working in a shop and you're doing a lot of woodwork, you want to get those shavings collected before they hit the filter. And if you go out and investigate these things, you'll see what we're talking about here, and they're really, really useful to keep that vacuum at its peak performance. Instead of clogging up the filter. So
Johnny's new vacuum is going to last even longer than the other one that he just got rid of.
Oh man, I don't know. 30 years that thing is still going, but man, we'll leave that one. So
we got anything for out in the yard, John? Any yard maintenance items that are really good this year?
So I was just out in the yard, and there is I use, just like you do, the pruning blades for a recip sawzall.
For a recip saw, yeah. Oh yeah, love them.
And it is great. It really is great. Instead of using a chainsaw for a lot of stuff, and even I have a little chainsaw attachment for a 2-cycle, that thing works great, but I hate firing up 2-cycle engines anymore, on weed whackers or anything else.
Yep.
You can walk around the yard with this thing and prune all day long with a Sawzall, electric battery operated Sawzall.
Yeah, and these are less than I bought it was a 5 or an 8-pack. I can't remember. Anyway, I'll put the link out. But again, it was the same thing. These are really aggressive blades, and mine are 9 inches long, so I can cut a pretty good sized branch. And I don't if I'm doing real tree work anymore, I'll get the chainsaw out. But if I'm just going around cutting even small trees down, I take one of these aggressive pruning blades and I just go cut it down, and I cut limbs off and all that stuff. It's amazing. Why screw around with 2-cycle or any kind of gas anymore when you can do most of what you do with this pruning blade? So it's like, hey, why not, right?
Exactly. And if you have a Sawzall, you need to invest in some of this. Like down here, with the crepe myrtles.
Oh yeah, it'll cut that down
trim
easy.
Those back. I use that thing every single year, and I am done trimming the crepe myrtles in no time. I mean, it just zoop, you're done. So that's a little good tip right there for you folks out there. Instead of all day long with clippers and everything trying to do all this, because they're great.
Yeah, works great. You touched on another one that I personally just really like my electric line trimmer. I'm kind of like you. Anymore, I don't like 2-cycle if I can help it. This is not electric line trimmer is for the average yard. It'll handle 99% of most people's needs for the line trimmer. The beauty is buy a brand that you already have the batteries for. So if whatever tools you're using, almost everybody's got one out now. And mine's an 18-volt work. It works fine on grass and stuff. It's not going to cut brush. It's not going to do anything like that. But for most of my work, it edges just fine. It does all the line trimming. All that stuff works great. How do I start it? I slap the battery in and pull the trigger. I don't have to screw with fuel. I don't have to screw with any of that nonsense,
I'm envious because, I'm still using mine. And like I said, anymore I can't stand firing up, a 2-cycle engine and all the stink and all the gas mix and oil and everything. I've got a big yard, but most of what I take care of is not that big. And I'd really like to have something like that. And just to keep with me, even when I'm cutting the yard on the lawnmower, right? I can just trim up everything in no time. I'll tell you what stops me from trimming every time is because I don't want to get out there with all that gas and oil mixture.
Well, so there's your answer, right?
Well, that is the answer. That is the answer. So with all this new kind of electrical equipment that's coming out, and the electric line trimmers are fantastic. This is something to really take a serious look at this year for yard maintenance. Yeah,
it's a great thing. And then this year, Johnny, we did a show. I forget what show it is, but we'll look it up. We did a show on the old foam cannon. So old LT went out and bought the old foam cannon. And once again, John's suggestion for buying a foam cannon. So give the synopsis of what a foam cannon is, Johnny.
Yeah, it's just something you add on to the end of a pressure washer, and then you can put anything in there. Now, let me explain. Like bleach, you can't run bleach through the pump because it'll eat the seals up. So it has to be after the fact. After the pressure, not before the pump, after the pump. Does that make sense, Larry?
It does. Yep.
So this thing goes at the end of the wand of a pressure washer, and it's a little, it's just a little container that hangs off of there, and it sucks out that container whatever you put in there. Whether it's what I use to take care of my house, and I add. I fill it up with bleach and then some Dawn in there, and it has it runs through a metal mesh. I don't know, Larry, if you've ever taken it apart, but there's a metal mesh in there that makes this thing foam up like crazy. So when this thing is sucking everything out of this bottle, and you put like Dawn in there, and as it goes by, it is just foaming this stuff up like crazy, and it looks like it's snowing.
It's beautiful.
And the advantage of that is that the bubbles cover the bleach, so the bleach doesn't dry out right away. And I've had it hang there for hours.
Are you going to decorate your house this year? Are you going to you're going to put snow out there with your foam cannon? Is that what you're doing?
I could.
See, there you go.
That's
always trying to help.
Yeah, always trying to help. And the other thing is, if you're out there and you want to wash your car, put a bunch of Dawn in there thing and just soap up your car. But honestly, I mean, this thing is fantastic.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that it has this great big wide fan on it, or you can, it's got like a zero, just a stream, and I can get about 2 stories on this thing. So I just did my house. I just did it the other day, and it just comes out great. And the thing is about what, $18, $20,
something like that. Yeah, it's not very much money.
And it is just, it's, if you've got a pressure washer, this is something that is a great gift, something you really need.
Yeah, and I'm just going to give you an alternative use case for it too. Believe it or not, if you want to spray like a liquid fertilizer or a liquid insecticide, you can actually shoot it through this thing as well. And it's just kind of a way for you to get a broad-based spread on stuff that is different than another way. So it's just a little bit outside the box because I've used it for both.
That's great. That's a great idea. Thanks for that tip.
Yeah, I've used it both ways, but I really like it for the foam cannons, for cleaning, because it's an amazing thing. Carpentry, I know probably everybody has these things, but I always have to throw out there, if you don't have a speed square, you need one, and if you don't have a good level, you need good levels as well. And then laser levels also are advantageous as well. So those are 3 good carpentry things if you're looking for potential gifts. And these are all gifts that, most of these gifts, Johnny, we were talking, most of them are less than $25, and a good speed square is probably about $20, a good level's about $20. Laser levels, about $30. You can get a fairly decent one online. But they just make all the difference in the world for quality work. Just all the difference in the world. So
let's talk about that for a second. That's another great gift if you don't have a laser level.
Yeah.
Once you have, and that's something when we were thinking about this list, is that just dawned on me, is something that I use constantly when I'm doing. Anything that needs to be leveled, I mean, obviously, but, hanging pictures, trim, anything like that. We both have some pretty nice, levels, automatic levels.
Yep.
But they are just wonderful. Once you have them, it's tough. It's tough
to live without them. It really is. Yeah. So I never told you the story, but I'm going to tell you the story. So I go and I had to hang a mirror in a bathroom, right? And I go and I hang the mirror. Of course, I set my laser level up, right? I get the thing, I square the top of the mirror up underneath the thing, get it perfectly centered, blah, 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 get it in. I asked the customer to come in and take a look. She's like, yeah, I don't like it. And I said, why? And she said, look at the gap between the wall and the mirror. And it was actually not vertical. And I'm like, dude, is this me or is this what? And long story short, the wall was not vertical. So we ended up skewing the mirror slightly to be parallel with the wall because the long axis was on the wall, right? So now the thing's out of level. It's imperceptible to the It is and it isn't. But the gap between. So anyway, just be aware of that. I'm just throwing that out there. I didn't tell you that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Sometimes I've heard of that before, but haven't run up against that lately.
Yeah, this had to do with the fact it was sitting right next. It was probably 2 inches off the wall, and anyway, it was just, I was like, oh crap, like shit. Anyway, and I was doubting my installation prowess and things like that.
The guy who hung that wall was drinking that day.
Well, walls aren't vertical. Blah blah blah. One of our other things that we talk about, maybe part of the reason why people listen to this show is educational stuff, right, Johnny? So, good gifts always in the trades and stuff. So this product line doesn't change that much. Pretty much if you learn carpentry, it's pretty much good from now until forever. And if you learn various different things, so there's all the educational gifts that you can give too. There's books and there's, hey, listen to this podcast, articles, stuff on specific trades, jobs that you're doing. YouTube is always a good one. Any of this stuff is all really good potential Christmas gifts for people. So we were just kind of these are some of the brainstorming ideas we had. So
Yeah, one of the things that when we were talking about the educational things is like the books. There's things out there that you don't know what you don't know, right? For that saying, but
Yep.
um, it's nice to have a book on, let's say, basic plumbing. It's nice to have a book on basic electrical work. So if you're going to do any of this, because what they're going to do in those, they're going to be very code specific. So you're going to know what's right and what's wrong.
Yep.
So if you're doing some plumbing, just don't wing it. Learn how to do it right, because there's a lot of consequences for not doing these things right. So, always having a book, and I have an electrical book and I have a plumbing book that I keep with me all the time. And I always refer to it. I mean, I can always go to the internet and try to dig this out, but you know what? Who knows who did that on the internet? I want to know, the real skinny on all this. And it gives you all the codes, all the way to the way to do this, the dimensions, everything. So you're not, just kind of winging it. And I've just been in a couple of homes that people have done their own plumbing work. That
they forget that water flows downhill. Is that what you're telling me? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Well put.
Yeah.
So
right. Well, John, I know the other day I was in your garage and I was looking. You had a manual there, and it said how to disassemble the Intergalactic Spaceship. And there was a part of that spaceship was in your garage. You had been taking that apart. I really wanted to know how you got that in your garage. That was my question.
You mean got the spaceship in the garage or the book?
Both. I mean, come on. Where'd you get the book, number one? I mean, it wasn't even in English. I mean, I was like, what is this language? It looks like Cyrillic, I couldn't even tell, right? Next thing I know, next thing I know, out of the box pops this little green guy. Like I was like, and he said, "Hey, Johnny hasn't brought me my beer this afternoon. Come on, go get him off his case." Anyway.
Well, when you're doing all this, Larry, and at the level that I'm at right now, with taking these things apart, I'm writing those books now.
Oh, Johnny's got a new career opportunity.
That's right. You can catch me on Amazon. How to disassemble the Intergalactic.
Well, awesome. If you enjoy the Handyman Pros radio show with all our bad jokes, trust me, please tell your friends and neighbors. We would really appreciate it. Just send them a link to say, hey, you got to listen to these two idiots. There's something else. If you do have questions, comments, or concerns, please send us an email, questions at Handyman Pros Radio Show, or you can send us a note at handymanprosradioshow@gmail.com as well. Check out our website. Subscribe to our newsletter on that website. We give lots of inside information, all that good stuff. We have a Facebook group that's growing by leaps and bounds. That's at Handyman Pros. We're trying to do as much interactive stuff on that as well, and all of that good stuff. And follow us on Twitter also at Handyman Radio. Johnny, do we have full-time jobs? I'm trying to figure this out, but we got a lot of stuff going on. But
yeah, we do.
We do,
and it's all good, man. It's all good.
It's all good. We really like interacting with y'all. Anyway, with that, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.